Kidding? Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome to episode 211 of the Rotten Views podcast. Thank you everyone for showing up to another new episode. If you're a recurring listener, I appreciate you coming back each and every single week to listen to me blab about movies. If you're a new listener, I want to say thank you so much for picking up the podcast on this episode. I haven't watched this movie before, but I'm assuming it's going to be a fun one just because of the characters that are in it. And of course, by the title, you already know, we are watching Cheech Chong, Nice Dreams from 1981. I'm actually really looking forward to watching this movie. As I do the intro, I haven't actually watched the movie yet. That's just, I like to do the intro ahead of time before actually discussing the podcast and discussing the episode at hand. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Hopefully it does not let me down. I'm assuming it's not going to, because it's Cheech Chong and I enjoy them a lot. I grew up watching Up in Smoke and of course still smoking. But before we get into that sort of stuff and talking about the movies and what movies they've been in, let's do a little bit of housekeeping.
Housekeeping?
Don't think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towel?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
As we like to do each and every single episode, if you want to, feel free to follow me on all social media accounts at Typhonstein. All the links are down below. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, Facebook, and the main thing though being the YouTube channel. I'm trying to post more on all the platforms, but the main thing that I've been posting the most on is the Facebook page, and of course it's the Instagram page as well, because it's all meta, so I can post on one and it does both of them for me. That's the only convenient thing about that. But the other channel that we're posting the most on is the YouTube channel. Trying to grow that YouTube channel up, getting closer and closer to the 1,000 sub mark. Once we do hit the 1,000 sub mark, gonna be giving away some free artwork, so definitely go check that out. Go hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications, because then you'll be notified every Wednesday when I drop my new gaming video. You'll be notified when we drop new shorts. Of course, you know, you can set the bell notifications to notify for certain things, because we also do live streams over there as well. I do art live streams, and then we also do video game live streams, so definitely go check it out. I think it's some fun content, and I think you guys will enjoy it. And of course, wherever you're listening to this podcast, if it's on Spotify, I'd appreciate if you leave a star rating. I'm not going to ask you for a 5-star rating. I'm like everyone else does. Just rate it whatever you feel like it deserves. You know, give a couple episodes a listen, you know, or just 1 or 2 episodes, whatever it might be, or you know, give the whole catalog a listen. If you do, I appreciate that highly. I don't know why you want to listen to me that much in such a short period of time. I'm assuming you're going to listen to all the episodes over like a couple weeks. Probably best to span that out over the year, because it's a lot of episodes. We're over 200 episodes now. But yeah, if you could give it a star rating, I highly appreciate that. If you're listening on Apple, if you can just give it an Apple review, I appreciate it. Let me know which episodes you like the most. And the last thing I'm going to ask for you guys, if you could just hit the share button. Hit the share button on any of the podcast episodes. Hit the share button on any of the YouTube episodes, or the YouTube videos. Hit the share button on any of the artwork. It all does help out a lot, and I do appreciate it. So if you guys could do that, I would really, really appreciate it. If you guys can't, I understand. I'll just be over here crying in the corner, but that's fine. But yeah, if you guys could hit the share button, I appreciate it. And last thing, we also have a coffee page. The link is down below. So I'll be posting some more things on there as well. Maybe do some exclusive content or some like content that comes out like a couple days earlier. I don't know what the plan is yet. But yeah, if you want to help support the page, definitely go check that out down in the links below as well. And yeah, I'm done whoring myself out. So if you could just hit that share button, I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm done, but I kept going. So you know, it is what it is. I got a lot of coffee in my system right now at the point in time. But enough of that. You guys are here to listen to me talk about Nice Dreams from 1981. Just a little warning. For new listeners, of course, or, you know, listeners I don't listen to often. For each episode, I talk about the movie from start to finish and hit all the points in between that interests me. So if you don't want to be spoiled, especially in a movie that came out in 1981, feel free to pause it now and go find a copy of it. You can find it on YouTube for free, just so you're aware. Or you could just sit back, relax, listen to me talk about the movie, and I'll either make you really, really want to see the movie, or you'll just be like, yeah, you know what, I'm good, I don't need to see that movie. But let's talk about the movie a little bit. It's got 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 43% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 4.6 out of 5 on Amazon.ca. Apparently 70% of Google users have liked this movie. Initial release date was June 5th, 1981, for a box office of $35 million and distributed by Columbia Pictures. The description, as read on IMDb: disguised as ice cream vendors, Cheech and Chong make and subsequently lose millions of dollars selling a batch of marijuana with an unusual side effect. Now we're on to the point where we're talking about the director and the writer and the actors in this. So we kind of, like I think it was a couple weeks ago, because last week was Jackpot. We kind of get to fast track a little bit because the director is also one of the writers and also one of the cast members. So it kind of works out. So when we talk about the director and the writer, we're going to actually be talking about two of the cast members as well. So it is what it is. This movie is actually directed by Tommy Chong, and he's also one of the writers for it. And of course, you know Tommy Chong for, you know, Still Smoking, Up in Smoke, Cheech and Chong's next movie. Of course, all the Cheech and Chong stuff. He's also the Yak in Zootopia. He's also in a movie from 2020, which I've never actually heard of before, that I want to watch, that's called Scare Bear. But he's also in another movie from 2019 that I personally really like a lot with Nicolas Cage, where he plays a hippie in the woods named Ezra. It's Color Out of Space. You would also know him as Leo from that 70s show, also doing Leo again in that 90s show as well. And of course, he's done various TV episodes for other shows as well over the years. And then the next person that we're going to talk about is the co-writer on this. That is, of course, none other than the other part of the duo, Cheech Marin. People will know him from all the Cheech and Chong movies, of course, as well. But he's also Rudy in 1987's Born in East LA. He plays 3 different characters in 1996 From Dusk Till Dawn. He plays Border Guard, he plays Chet Pussy, and he also plays Carlos. He also does a voice in the Cars series where he's doing Ramon. He was a priest in Machete from 2007. He was also the same priest in 2007 for Planet Terror. You would also know his voice as one of the hyenas for The Lion King. I believe it was Bonsai. He plays Felix Gum in the Spy Kids series of all freaking things. He's been in a lot of roles all over the place. Also, he was one of the main for Nash Bridges. He's in 120 episodes of Nash Bridges from 1996 to 2001. I remember watching that show every now and then with my parents. I don't remember it fondly. I probably wasn't paying too much attention back then to this show by any means, but I do remember him being one of the leads in that series. And while looking things up, he has a TV movie from 1998 that's called Breakfast with Einstein, and we just see a picture of a dog on the cover. So is he doing the voice for a dog named Einstein? I don't know. Maybe we'll watch it at some point in time. Might sit down with my kid and watch it. Who knows? It will give me an excuse to watch it at least. But I think that's enough about talking about the cast for right now. There's some other cast members, but a lot of them have weird names. I'm not sure how much they're going to be in the movie at all, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, the tagline for this: the story of 2 enterprising young men who make an amazing amount of money selling ice cream. And there's just one goof on the IMDb page that I want to mention. Apparently there's a scene with Timothy Leary. There's a kitten that Chong is holding. It disappears and never appears again without explanation. The cat's just gone. Don't know where it went. No clue. Just gone. But yeah, with that being said, I think we're going to get ready to start talking about this movie. So like I said earlier, I'm going to be talking about this movie from start to finish and all the points in between that interest me. So if you don't want to be spoiled on a movie that came out in 1981, feel free to pause it now. You can find a decent copy of it on YouTube. Or just sit back, relax, listen to me talk about the movie. Like I said, either I'll make you really want to watch it, or I'll just make you want to avoid it altogether. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. So if you're at home, just sit back, relax, get some snacks, get whatever, if you're working on some stuff, hopefully it helps you get through with whatever you're working on. If you're at work, hopefully, it helps you get through the day. If you're listening in the car, hopefully you keep your eyes on the road, okay? Just keep your eyes on the road. We don't need any accidents, and I don't want to be the cause of any accidents. So make sure you keep focused on the road, okay? And we're going to get started on the podcast episode right now.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
Hey, come on, man, let's go. Hey, come on, man. Come on, up, push. Come on, you're not trying. Okay, one more. Push it, come on, you're not trying. Hey, that's a good one, man. Hey, look at the table, man. Come on. Oh, man.
Columbia Pictures presents Cheech Chong, together again in Nice Dreams, the story of two enterprising young men who make an amazing amount of money selling ice cream.
We got $17 million, man. No.
And who are into neighborly visits.
Oh, animal. Oh, when did you get out, man?
Come on, open up or I'll break the door down!
Fine dining.
Oh, Rochester, how about sweet?
And anything else they can get their hands on.
Doctor?
Yeah?
I have this terrible problem. Oh, you're probably much too busy, man, to listen to my problem.
Oh, no, I'd love to look at your problem.
Cheech Chong's Nice Dreams.
You're getting too laid back, yes, sir? Come on.
We starts out with that classic Columbia Pictures statue off in the distance, and then we just hear some heavy metal rockin' style music just playing. Not sure why, but then we just see a puff of smoke and it says Columbia Picture presents C&C Brown production, starring Richard Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong. And apparently Stacey Keach is in the movie as well. Now I should have talked about him, but I didn't. Sorry. And then we see this puff of smoke come up, and it just says Nice Dreams inside of it. Then we have some music playing, and it's actually Cheech singing. We see this old school car just driving down the road, and then it's followed behind another car that's got hydraulics clearly because it's bouncing. But then there's another nice red muscle car, like not even muscle car, but it's a nice older car driving down the road. I'm not sure where they're all going. And then we see behind that, we see this old ass ice cream truck with this messed up ice cream guy on the roof, and he's got a joint in his mouth, and we see it's Cheech and Chong, just get ready to sell their ice cream. So their ice cream truck it's literally a truck. It's an old school truck. I've never seen an ice cream truck look like this ever before, but like I said, it's got the giant loudspeakers on it. It's got this weird ass bubble looking head with a joint in his mouth. You wouldn't know that they're selling ice cream at all because it doesn't look like an ice cream truck. But then you just have Tom. He's like, hey, where are we supposed to meet this guy, eh? Oh, we're just supposed to meet him down by the beach somewhere. So they're making a deal of some sort, but I'm assuming it's not for ice cream. And then we see them outside the ice cream truck, and Chong has an electric guitar. He's just playing. He's like, hey, Cheech, what was that protest song you were talking about? Oh, Save the Whales, man. And then they just start singing Save the Whales protest song. Part of the lyrics that Cheech is singing is about them saving the whales, and doing so, they just got to start shooting more seals. Then as Cheech is singing and Tommy's playing the guitar, this old school black Lincoln Continental car pulls up, and this guy's in suits getting out, and the butler guy guys comes over with a bunch of money, and Cheech gives him a whole box of things. Not like a huge box of things, but he's like, all the money's there, eh? Now as the guys are getting back in the black car, we see the point of view from some cops, and this has been like them following this black car to try and catch the drug bust in process. The homing pigeon, that's what they call themselves, is going to pursue after the black limo, but of course the car won't start, because why would it start? Then Cheech and Chong get back in the ice cream truck, and they start driving off down the road, and the whole street just fills up with white smoke because of how old and unmaintained that this ice cream truck is. It just smokes as soon as you even touch the gas. As they're driving away, Chong's like, I don't think it's really a smart idea to be making dope deals like that out in the public. And she's like, man, they're fine. They're not cops. I can smell cops a mile away. They smell like coffee and donuts. And Cheech is trying to figure out how much money they got for this deal. And he's like, we got $17 million, man. And Chong's like, no way, man. So he's like looking at doing the math over here. And he's like, we got 17. So, you know what? We're just rich, man. It's fine. Then as they're driving down like Ocean Boulevard, they're talking about all the things that they're going to buy with their money. And she's like, I'm going to go buy a Mustang. And then Chong's like, better get your license back first. He's like, man, I'll buy a Judge. Yeah, I'll buy a Judge and then I'll get my license back. And then as they're stopped at a red light, these two girls pull up in a convertible and asking if they have any big sticks. And of course it's going very sexual, and he's like, yeah, we got big sticks. You want some big sticks? And they start driving away, the girls do. So then Cheech and Chong are like, come on, we gotta get going. This truck is too slow. And of course the girls' car is much faster, so we see them going through traffic, no problem. And Cheech and Chong are going up on the sidewalk, going up on the grass. They're just doing whatever they can to try and keep up with the girls, and they're causing a hell of a lot of car accidents behind them. They finally get to the home where the car is now parked, and Tommy is all over this car. He's like, oh man, this looks like a car my dad used to drive. You could tell by the stickers on the back seat. And he's like, oh no, the interior is too nice. And then we cut to Cheech, who's going out to the front door, ringing the doorbell. Man, hey, you want the big stick? And he's holding like a giant ice cream stick of some sort. I can't read the package due to the copy. But this big man with no shirt opens up and just burps at them, and he's like, I don't think we got the right house. I don't want to give you a big stick, so we're going to head out now, okay? Then we cut back to the police station where those two cops that were out the stakeout are just walking into the facility all pissed off, and all hell's breaking loose here. There's a bunch of people all over the place, and then we see them knocking on a door, and of course it's Stacy Keach's office. And he's like, just let me spray some Febreze in here. I wasn't smoking at all. Anyways, the two officers bring in the box of goods, which was like the ice cream cones, the push-up pops, but instead of them being push-up pops, it's actually weed inside them. Clearly Stacy Keach is a little bit of a pothead, because he's like, I want you to take this down to the analyzer and have this labbed. And then the officers go to grab it to take it down. He's like, actually, you know what? I'll handle it. I'll do it myself. Then Stacy Keach sends the two officers on their way out. And after they leave his office, he closes all the blinds and locks his door. And he starts sniffing the drugs. He starts laughing. He's like, the only way you're going to catch a smoker is if you yourself become a smoker. Stacy Keach then puts one of the joints into a gun, but I'm a little bit confused because he then presses the trigger and it starts to smoke. I'm not sure what this contraption is at all. But anyways, then someone knocks on the door. He's like, not right now. I'm a little busy. He tries to push the smoke outside the window, and a pigeon looks like it's about ready to pass out because of the smoke going around it. Then we see Cheech and Chong showing up to Ray's house, and they're walking in, and Ray's playing the piano, and Chong just sits down and plays guitar. But the whole time they had the front door open, and they didn't hear the whole time that there's been a helicopter following them. I figured they would probably knew and been paranoid about it, but I guess they're just happy stoners. Then we cut to Cheech, and he's talking to his plants and he's watering them. They're not Travis plants, of course, either. They're the happy plants. And out of nowhere, Cheech gets completely changed out of his white ice cream suit, and he's in some short ass Daisy Dukes shorts as he's sitting on his chair with his plants all around him, just sniffing them. And then we see a perspective from the police helicopter. Apparently one of these plants, or a couple of these plants, are in this giant bay window that's wide open, and the helicopter's just taking pictures of Cheech as he's playing with his plants the whole goddamn time. And we see Ray and Cheech and Chong in the kitchen, and Chong's getting some of his joints ready, and Cheech is getting ready to cook some tortillas by the looks of it, and he's just throwing the bread on top of the stove on the burners. No pans, no nothing. It's not a flat top cooker, nothing. He's just throwing it right on the burner. Be like, hey, how hungry you guys, huh? You pretty hungry over there? As Ray and Chong are talking, Cheech gets a little confused. He's like, oh crap, the food's starting to burn. So he grabs his spray ball that he was using for his plants and starts spraying down the food. He's like, hey, you want medium rare? And Chong just throws one back. He's like, this one's burnt, man. I don't want it. And of course, Ray's blind, so Cheech just throws down some burnt food in front of him. And Chong's like, hey, man, don't feed this shit to him. It's all freaking burnt, man. He's like, oh, no, that's prime food. That's prime food. It's good, man. Out of nowhere, this loud alarm goes off. And Chong just looks up at the ceiling. He's like, oh, there goes that smoke alarm again. And then she's like, man, I told you not to be smoking that shit in here. He's like, it's not me, man. It's your cooking. Because the whole kitchen is just full of smoke at this point in time. Because Cheech is burning everything. Cheech and Chong are leaving Ray's place, and Cheech is like, hey, you gotta remind me to grab all this stuff. And he's like, what's that for? He's like, the plants in the game room are looking pretty weak. You know, I need to healthy them up. And Chong's like, God, just piss on them. He's like, man, have some respect for the plants, hey? And he's like, no, I read somewhere, you know, pissing on the plants will make them healthier. It'll make them stronger, make them grow faster. As they're walking down this long-ass driveway to what I'm assuming is their guest home, Chong's like, you know what we need to invest in? We need to invest in rest homes for old hippies, you know, hippies been around for a long time, man. We got to take care of the hippies. Okay, so I'm wrong. It wasn't a guest home. It might be an actual guest home. It's not the home they live in, I assume, because once they get inside the building, Cheech is saying, you know, once we get to Weird Jimmy, let me do the talk, because he kind of spaced out. We see we're in a giant ass freaking grow up that looks like it's way too big to be even inside this building that we just got a glimpse of. As we're spanning around the grow up, we also see this one lizard that's on one of the branches or stems, and it's got wings, but it's not moving at all because it's not a real lizard at all, but it looks kind of funny. And then as we see Cheech talking to Weird Jimmy and discussing the product and everything, we see Chong off in the corner with a giant ass like metal garbage can, and he's literally just stealing some product and filling into this garbage can that has a bag in it. Be like, I'm just going to keep taking this, they're not paying attention, they're talking over there, I'm just going to empty out this whole thing right in here. And we just see Chong carrying this giant ass bag that looks like he's Santa, but like of the dope variety, as he's just, you know, walking behind Weird Jimmy, and then Chong's leaving, Cheech's leaving, and then, yeah, we're gonna have a good day now, okay, bye. Cut back to Stacy Keach, who's still smoking the weed inside his office, and we see him pushing some more smoke outside, and now that pigeon, that seagull or whatever, is dead. Feet up, straight up in the air, completely dead. And then for some reason, we see Cheech and Chong stopping at a gym, and they go in, and Chong goes to one of the guys in the gym to give them a little present, you know, this bud's for you. And the guy starts giving him a bunch of merchandise, like a bunch of t-shirts, and then he just starts giving him a bunch of pill bottles, and so like, you take this stuff is all good, man, just take it all. And then out of nowhere, we just see Cheech, and he's just watching a girl work out, but he's just staring at her boobs. He just keeps staring to the point where she's like, you're a creep. So then she turns around and starts working out the other direction, so of course then she starts staring at her ass. We got back to Chong, who's now getting some hats. The guy's giving him a bodybuilder trophy for whatever reason. And then we see Cheech trying to be all macho. As the girl's working out, someone leaves the bench press beside her, so he tries to do a bench press, and he's too weak because then the bar just falls across his throat, and the lady starts screaming because she broke a nail while trying to work out. So all the guys come rushing over to her to see if she's okay, and then Chong comes over and he's like, hey, what's going on? And of course Cheech can't talk because, you know, the bar's right across his throat. He's like, come on, man, you gotta push it up, man, come on, push it up, come on, you got it, use your muscles. So then Cheech pushes the bar up a little bit. Chong is helping him up with the bar as well. Then Chong lets go of the bar because he wants him doing their bench press. And of course the bar falls right across Cheech's throat again. So he's like, come on, man, you gotta push the bar up. Come on, you can do it, champ. One more, champ. Then we see Cheech and Chong going back to the grow up area, and they're looking for Weird Jimmy. And then they get confused because then we see a iguana smoking a joint. And they're like, oh, Jimmy, man, what happened to you, buddy? And then Weird Jimmy actually shows up behind them. Yeah. Oh, hey, it's you. How'd you teach him how to smoke it? And Chong's just looking at it, being like, what is it? And Cheech is like, I don't know, man, it's a lizard of some sort. Weird Jimmy hasn't said a single word to them at all in this segment, so he just grabs a lizard and walks away with it. And then Cheech is like, hey, Jimmy, can we have it some more, bud? He's like, doesn't say anything. So then Cheech's like, thanks, man, we'll take care of the grow up, man. Let's change the stupid music though, because they had like orchestral opera style music playing. I guess it's like the same concept as like a dairy barn back in the day. If you played certain music, the cows would produce more milk. So maybe he thinks if he plays a certain music, the plants will produce more bud. I don't know. But then we cut back to the sergeant's office, Stacy's office, and he's looking at a bug as the two other officers being like, oh, we gotta go catch him soon, man. We gotta go catch him. You know, it's crazy. And then we see a fly flying around his office, and they don't notice, but Stacy has a frog's tongue that comes out, and he eats the fly, fly? He's like, oh, bugs. We gotta get the bugs. And, I thought that I was listening to it wrong, but the two officers, one of them looks like he's a complete drunk. And the other guy keeps getting hit by the door. The guy that keeps getting hit by the door, is named Noodles, of all things. Noodles. Anyways, after those guys leave, we see Stacy smoking up some more. He's pushing more smoke outside that window. But now the dead pigeon, or whatever, is now a iguana of all things. Because apparently, the weed makes you turn into a reptile. Anyways, the two officers called it in, saying that they're to go get the drugs and everything. And we see the narco helicopter flying. But once they get close to the Ray's house, which is on the beach, they see a bunch of girls on the beach. And the one guy who's supposed to be looking out, he's like, oh man, look at all the titties down there. Titties down there. Let's not worry about the weed. Look at the titties. And we see there's actually two narco helicopters. And they're literally just flying around in a circle watching the girls. Because the girls are all topless. And Cheech and Chong hear the helicopters. And they're like, oh man, they sound like they're having a good time out there. I wonder if they're wondering what we're doing down here. Then as they're hearing the helicopters, they look up and they notice there's a hole in the tarp for the ceiling. So then they set up a ladder. And Cheech is holding the ladder. And Chong's like, you gotta give me some rope. And she's like, well, what kind of rope? He's like, I don't care what kind of rope. Just give me some rope. So then, of course, Cheech lets go of the ladder. And of course, Chong comes crashing down. And then out of nowhere, we see equipment in the lab just starting to spark and explode a little bit. And now there's a big giant gap inside the roof. Anyways, they're freaking out because there's a helicopter flying overhead. And Cheech is asking for the rope. But Chong's like, I can't find the rope. You gotta do something up there. So then we see the helicopter flying over. And they're trying to get pictures inside the gap to look what's inside. And then we just see Cheech laying across the top of the ladder. And he's pretending like he's swimming like it's water the whole time. And he's confusing the helicopters. And then we just see them speeding up, rushing with a bunch of boxes of supplies to their ice cream truck to get the drugs out of the way so the helicopters can't see what's going on. It's one of those classic typical shots where, everything's sped up. And then, of course, they run into each other because they're going so fast. And then the helicopter's like, hey, you know what? We're going to go land on the beach beside the titties. And, of course, Cheech and Chong get ready to go do their getaway. And the helicopter, Papa Bear helicopter's like, the suspect's getting ready to leave. He's like, oh, yeah, we'll find a spot to land here soon. And we're just going to keep floating around the girls on the beach. And, of course, the ice cream truck doesn't want to start at all. So then we see Cheech, trying to help Chong with the engine. And then next thing you know, we see Chong get, backhanded in the face. And he falls down the hill a little bit. And Cheech is like, hey, man, you can't be laying back. I say, we got to get out of here now. Then we see the two officers, Noodles and whatever the other guy's name is. And they have the iguana and the weird guy in the police station. And they're trying to question the weird guy, but he's just off in space, just looking all around. I think his name was Weird Jimmy, but I could be wrong on that fact. And while they're trying to figure out some information that they have on the notepad, because Sergeant Stacy's there, Stacy Keach's character is there. But the whole time, Noodles is using his billy club to crack nuts on the desk behind him, because he doesn't seem smart at all. He just seems like all the cops here actually seem pretty stupid, but that's besides the point. And then the two officers, Noodles and the other guy, are leaving the room, and then one guy's like, good luck, Sarge, I couldn't get any information out of that iguana. Maybe you'll be able to get some information out of him. And then Stacy Keach's character goes to rub the iguana, and we see that two of his fingers are now lizard claws, and then he puts his other hand up to his mouth to take a puff, and his whole other hand is a lizard hand. Then we see Cheech and Chong in a restaurant called Hong Kong Genuine Chinese Cuisine, and they're talking about this new place they're going to start. It's called Vato Land. And Chong's like, Vato Land? And Cheech is like, yeah, it's like Disneyland, but we'll get some walls where we can rent some spray cans and people can spray paint stuff, and bring in some guest gangs every now and then, make it a nice family community, And as Cheech and Chong are sitting at the table getting ready to have a bite to eat, this weird lady with leopard print everything comes over, and she's just looking at Chong, being like, I know you know me, right? And he's like, no, I don't know you at all, but it's good meeting you. And then she goes to sit down at her table, and Cheech is like, how you know her? He's like, I don't know, man, it's just all told there's the crazy ones that find me. And then as she's sitting down at her table, she's like, screams, she's like, I know you. And then she just comes and introduces herself and sits down at their table, being like, I'm just gonna sit with you guys now. And then she invites her whole table over to their table, and they're okay with it because it's just a bunch of young ladies. They're like, oh, okay, now we're talking. Yeah, all right. And then the lady in the leopard skin is talking to Chong because she thinks it's Gary Garcia of the Grateful Dead, and then she starts laughing about it at the other side of the table. And then, Chong tries to explain, he's like, I'm not him. And then Cheech starts kicking him under the table, being like, no, all the ladies, man, you got to play it up. And then she realizes that it's not actually him. And then she goes to leave, but she takes some of their food with her. And then she comes back over, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry that I got you mixed up. I don't don't feel bad that you're not him, but you know, I'm an agent, so we can make you like famous if you want. She's just looking off to the side. He's like, there's your girlfriend, man. You're screwed. And then we find out her name is Sydney, the agent. And she's like, here's my card. You make sure you call me. And she's just like, yeah. You make sure you call her. Call her late at night, because you know you want to. And then as she's leaving, she takes Chong's plate. And he's like, she did it again. She stole my freaking plate this time now. And then they make fun of who's coming in the door next. And it's a drunk couple. And they're making fun of the drunk couple, being like, oh, it's a night of living dead. And the guy is Pee Wee Herman, of all freaking things. And then the girl just starts jumping over Cheech, being like, oh, it's my baby, I love you. And just starts kissing him and everything. And he's like, hey, who are you? And then she starts mumbling some stuff. And he's like, Donna, I didn't even recognize you. He's like, I went to school with this chick. And then Pee Wee Herman's character is talking to Chong. He's like, you know, those girls at the wax museum, they're dipping them in the wax, you know, the wax at the wax museum, huh? Okay, so this lady comes over, and apparently she charges people if she wants to, like, if they want a picture. And then the drunk lady, Donna, is like, yeah, I want a picture of my tattoo. So she starts undoing the front of her dress, and everyone just starts staring at her and watching her. And it's all with the, like, ex-boyfriend's names on her stomach, and then each one is marked out one by one. And then Cheech is looking around because now Donna's completely gone. He's like, where'd Donna go? She was just sitting beside me 2 seconds ago. And then Pee Wee Herman's character is looking at Chong. He's pointing at his nose, and Chong's like, yeah, I got one too. And then they go underneath the table together. Then we find out that Donna's underneath the table, and Chong's under the table, and Pee Wee Herman's under the table. And then Cheech comes back. He's like, hey, what are you guys all doing underneath the table? So he goes underneath the table as well. And then they all come back up with, you know, white powder on their nose, of course. And they're making some weird ass faces. And Pee Wee's playing it up pretty good. Or maybe he's really, you know, high on drugs. God knows with him. Then we see Donna slowly coming up from underneath the table. And then Cheech is like, oh, man, my eyes are real big. I think I should take Donna home. I don't think she can drive that well. You can hang out with Pee Wee Herman though. That's okay, alright? And then we see Cheech literally dragging Donna out by like her throat almost. Not in like a bad way by any means. And he's like, where you been? And she's like, I've been around, I've been doing good. And everyone's watching him as he's dragging her. He's like, don't worry about it. We're with the Grateful Dead. Everything's fine, guys. Then we just see Pee Wee Herman and Chong sitting at the table. And Chong's like pointing at his nose, being like, so you got any of that? Got any of that for sale? Got any of that for sale? And then Pee Wee just keeps repeating seashells. He's like, seashells, huh? Yeah, okay, seashell. And then we cut outside. We see a different truck kind of shaking. It's a nice looking old school truck. And we see Cheech, like his back, and we see Donna's legs up in there, of course. And you know, we think they're getting it on, but it's Cheech having issues getting the zipper down on her dress, and he's like, what did you do? Did you put super glue on it? Why won't it come undone? Then Cheech finally gets her zipper down, and it's working now, and Donna completely passes out. He's like, hey Donna, wake up, look, it works now. And he keeps zipping up and down, does some fourth wall breaking stuff, and he starts looking at the camera and being like, hey, what would you do? Hey, you know, she's passed out, you know? And he's like, oh, well, let's take a vote. Raise your hands if you would do it, huh? Don't raise your hands if you wouldn't do it. I'm not following you guys. No. Of course, we see the truck bouncing a little bit from off in the distance as the highway patrol officers show up. The highway patrol officers are walking over to the truck that Cheech is in with Donna, and they got their guns ready and out. And then out of nowhere, behind them comes Chong in the ice cream truck with the music blasting. It's nighttime, and then the cops turn around. They just see that giant bobblehead just shaking with the joint in his mouth. So then they just start shooting at the ice cream truck, and we see the one officer's arresting or telling Cheech and Chong not to move because now Cheech is out of the truck. And then the other officer is asking where Donna lives. We see the two highway patrol officers walking off the scene a little bit, and the one's like, yeah, we got a good bus, and the other one's just putting some spray in his mouth, being like, nah, I'm getting late tonight. The one officer wants to bust him and do like the right thing, I guess you could say. And then the other officer's like, hey, so put the gun away. We got some thinking to do here, alright? So you really want to bust them, right? He's like, yeah, I want to bust them. He's like, well, we could bust them, but then we're going to spend the next 4 days doing nothing but paperwork. So do you really want to bust them? And the next thing we know, we see Cheech and Chong talking. Another officer walks over. He's like, yeah, you guys can go. And then Chong's like, hey, you can't just come over here and tell us to go. You know, you guys shot a hole in our clown there on the ice cream truck, man. man, you can't just tell us we can go. You know, you shot my property. And then Cheech is trying to calm him down because he doesn't want to be arrested or charged or anything. So then we see them getting pushed into the air truck, and Cheech is like, hey man, you gotta calm down. Don't you have a license, eh? And then as they're driving away, Chong's yelling. He's like, yeah man, he doesn't even have a license. You should pull him over and arrest him right now, eh? Then we see Cheech and Chong taking Donna back, and they take him to her high-rise apartment, and she's like, we gotta keep it down. You know, the people around here are complaining that I'm too loud, and she screams. But in the elevator right up, she's like, you know, you're gonna think I'm weird, but I want to do something freaky. I've never had two guys before. And then she's like, oh yeah, we do that all the time. And she's like, oh, you guys do each other all the time. So no, didn't mean it like that. Then we see them in the bed together, and Donna's like, we need ice. And she's like, why you need ice? He's like, I knew this lady that did stuff with ice, and it lasted a real long time. So then Cheech kicks Chong out of the bed, and Chong goes to put a small ass towel on, and goes walking down the hallway holding the towel in one hand and a bucket in the other hand as Cheech is yelling, get lots of ice, lots of ice, all the ice you can find, all the ice. And then the phone rings as they're in bed, so Donna picks it up, and it's some guy named Animal. Across from the bed, Cheech is looking, and we see a framed picture, and it's like a mugshot, it's like a newspaper ad, and it's the Animals guy, that's his nickname, but apparently he just broke out of jail, and he wants to come see her, and in giant letters, it's capitalized, known to hate Mexicans. So Donna's like, no, you can't come here, man, I have a Mexican here, he'll kick your ass. And then she's like, he hung up on me, and she's just like, who's that? And he's like, yeah, that's my old man. And then Cheech finds out that she's married to Animal, and she's like, so where's your old man? And Donna's like, he's in the lobby apparently. And then Chong comes back, and he's banging on the door, being like, open up the damn door, I'm gonna break the damn door down. And Cheech is terrified because he thinks it's the Animal guy, so he goes to hide in the closet. Then the closet curtain rod breaks and all the clothes fall down, and then he goes to hide behind the curtain, but then he's like, oh, you know what, there's a balcony out here, so maybe I'll just hang off the balcony butt-ass naked. And then she opens up the door, and we see it's just Chong, and then Chong and Donna start making out, and now Cheech is locked out on the balcony. He's banging on the glass door to be let back in, but nobody hears him. And then of course Cheech is stuck out on the balcony. Now he's starting to freak out. He's like, hey man, come on man, let me out, man, I don't like heights, man, let me in please. We see a naked Cheech moving from balcony to balcony to try and get someone to let him in. And then we cut down to the pool area where we see this big ass biker guy, Animal, walking around the pool, and we hear people in the pool being like, don't look at him, don't make eye contact, don't say anything to him, don't piss him off. And then we just see Animal undo his pants and start peeing in the pool in front of everyone. We see Cheech finally make it to the elevator, because the elevator is kind of like on the outside of the building that goes up and down. Of course it goes up and down, it's a fucking elevator, what the fuck did I say that for? Anyways, he's getting ready to get off the top of the elevator, and Animal's getting inside the elevator, and of course as soon as the elevator is getting ready to go up, Cheech is still holding on, so then he's stuck going all the way back up to the top of the building. Then Animal gets to the door where Donna and Chong are, and he knocks on the door, and Chong's like, hey, there's nobody home, and the guy's like, hey, open the door. And then Chong just thinks it's Cheech playing around with him the whole time. And he's like, hey, yeah, he's not here. And then Animal's like, Donna. And then Donna comes up and be like, hey, he told you there's nobody here. And then we just see Animal's hand go through the door to unlock the handle. Then we see a scared Chong hiding around in the apartment to try to avoid the Animal guy as he's walking back and forth, being like, when I find him, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him one piece by one. Then we see Cheech hanging off the elevator again, but this time now it's a lovely old couple, two old ladies inside the elevator, and they're like, oh my god. He's like, sorry. Then we see Chong hiding underneath the bed, so then Animal goes to look underneath the bed, so then Chong hops up on the bed and goes underneath the blankets being like, please don't see me. And then Animal just picks up Donna and throws her down on the bed. And then as that's happening, Chong rose back off of the bed again, and now he's underneath the bed as the bed is shaking, and he's kind of just being like, please, I hope this bed doesn't break. Now we see the elevators filling up with more people, and they're kind of like grasping up at Cheech. He's like, just help me, please, help me, somebody please help me. And then we see the bed is starting to fold, and it's starting to crush Chong as he's slowly trying to crawl out from underneath the bed. We see Cheech finally get off the elevator, and then he walks back up to Donna's room, and he's looking through the hole in the door. He's like, hey man, you open up this door right now. And then Chong pops up. He's like, man, there's a monster in here, there's a big biker in here, he kicked the door in. in. So Cheech is like, hey man, you gotta let me in. And as they're talking through the hole in the door, and Chong's like, the door is open, man, there's a hole right there. And Cheech is like, man, you gotta let me in so I can find my clothes. And then of course he's like, oh man, he's sleeping on my clothes. And then Chong's like, just wear his clothes. He's like, no man, his clothes are alive, they're moving on their own. And then we see Chong leaving in his original clothes, but then we see Cheech leaving in some bright ass blue and white robe, which is clearly Donna's. And then we have Cheech and Chong arguing at the elevator as they're waiting for it to come up, because apparently Chong accepted the payment in a check, and he's like, man, why? You know, the one thing we talked about, we don't accept payments by check. What are we gonna do here, man? How are we supposed to cash that? And Chong's like, you just go to the bank and cash it. He's like, yeah, and do you have a driver's license? Do you have ID? Do you have any sort of ID? Neither one of us have ID, so how are we supposed to cash it then, man? And then they start an argument about, you know, smart people do coke, and apparently Sherlock Holmes did coke, and Cheech is like, Sherlock Holmes? Come on, Sherlock Holmes, well, let's go find our money then, man. And then as the elevator opens, it's those two state troopers coming out, because they're going to Donna's, and the one cop's like, I sure hope she has a friend for me, and he's like, yeah, for your sake, I sure hope she does. And we see Cheech and Chong getting dropped off by a car. They were hitchhiking a ride with two ladies, and after they're leaving the car, Chong's like, oh man, that's the ugliest women I've ever seen. He's like, why were you hitting on them? He's like, I was just trying to be nice to them. And they're like, yeah, I guess it could be models for dog food. And then we see the two ladies that were in the car. It's actually the Noodles and the other officer, and they're dressed as girls. And now Noodles is trying to come on the one officer as he's trying to start the car. He's like, get off me, Noodles. Screw off, Noodles. And then we see them walking up to the gates to Casa de Walkos, which I'm assuming is the grow up spot. And Chong walks through the gate, but for a reason, Cheech goes over the gate. And as soon as they get inside, Cheech's like, man, I hope there's no security dogs here. And then Chong just starts barking, so then Cheech gets scared and goes to run away. He's like, oh, man, you need to stop fooling around, man. You gotta stop playing around, eh? So yeah, it's not the grow up that they're at. They're at the place to try and get their money, because apparently maybe this is Pee Wee Herman's place. I don't really know what's going on at this point in time. I'm assuming they're trying to get the money from Pee Wee for all the drug back again. I'm not too sure though. And then we see Cheech and Chong waking up on some patio chairs because they fell asleep during the night, and they're being woken up by some crazy people, and they're bucking at them and barking at them and screaming at them, and they look psychotic, which makes sense why the sign said wackos, because maybe they're at the mental hospital of some sort. So yeah, I was right. They're there to try to get the actual money from Pee Wee Herman, because then they run into Pee Wee Herman, and apparently he's just a mental patient the whole time. So then they start chasing after him, and Cheech keeps calling him Hamburger Dude. Cheech is trying to talk to him. He's like, man, we need to get our money back. I need to get the money back. And Hamburger Man's like, I'm first to get my medication. I'm first to get everything. And it is a mental hospital, because two of the guards, I guess, come in and start picking up Cheech and start carrying him away, because they think he's a patient that's not, you know, medicated at the point in time. And he's like, come on, man, I'm not a patient. I'm not a patient. Please let me down, man. And then we see Cheech in a straitjacket yelling and screaming as he's bouncing off the walls, as there's a little bit of sunlight coming in his barred window. And he's in a straitjacket in a crazy room, but he's also, the back of him is chained to the corner of the room like a caged animal. And then we hear Chong just yelling, Cheech, where are you? He's like, I'm in here. And then Chong just walks into the room. He's like, what's going on, man? Why are you doing in here? And then Chong's like grabbing out the chain, and she's like, man, you got grab the key, man. I'm chained up. And then Chong's like, yeah, man, they think I'm the doctor. They put me in charge of all the medication. And he's completely screwed up, man. He's completely all gone, because then he just walks out of the room and like, yeah, man, I'll go find you the key somewhere, eh? And then it's like the next day, we hear the birds chirping. Cheech is in the corner of the room, and Chong walks in. He's like, hey, man, we lucked out. I found the real doctor. Man. And Cheech is like, you got the key? Can I get her, man? I'm not crazy, man. I just want the key. And the doctor just starts staring at him and laughing. He's like, you sure you want to be free? The doctor tells him to come here. The Cheech comes over. He's like, stick out your tongue. He's like, what? So he sticks out his tongue, and the doctor puts a pill into Cheech's mouth. He's like, here's the key. He's like, this isn't the key, man. I want the real key. And the doctor just starts laughing. He's like, this is the key to the universe, man. And the doctor also gives one to Chong, and Chong's like, what was it? He's like, no, wait, I want a surprise. And then the doctor just starts laughing more, and we see Cheech and Chong are now completely wrecked. And Cheech starts looking around, starts freaking out, being like, hey man, I don't know what's going on, man. And then we see the scene completely change, and there's this guy getting ready to play guitar, but it's just a broomstick, and I'm pretty sure it's the beatbox guy from Police Academy, but I could be wrong. But then there's also two little midgets standing in front of him in karate gis. And Cheech is freaking out because he's watching this little guy play the music, and then it all disappears, and he starts looking around at a movie theater, and then next thing you know, he's getting walked around by the doctor. Now his head is all bandaged, and then we see him being passed off to Chong, and Chong's in some like guerrilla warfare police uniform, and he's walking him down the hallway being like, hey man, don't worry about it, you're gonna be okay, man, you're gonna be okay, man. And then it looks like it transforms into Cheech in a jail outfit. Maybe his head wasn't bandaged, maybe it was just like a hat of some sort, I don't know. Picture quality is not the greatest at this point in time, but then they walk down the end of the hallway. Chong picks up phone and starts talking to somebody, and then this guy in a black coat just comes up behind Cheech and grabs him by the shoulder and starts walking him off into the darkness. And then we see Cheech falling through a trapdoor, and then he wakes up freaked out in the padded room, and this lady's like, I'm sorry guys, Howie's gonna talk to you right now. And Howie's like the hamburger guy, the Pee Wee Herman guy. He's like, I'm sorry I took the money. And apparently the girl that's with them is like the person that's in charge of the mental hospital, because she's now letting Cheech and Chong leave, and she's like, I'm really sorry about what happened to you guys. I hope you'll understand this was just a mistake, okay guys? Then Cheech and Chong are getting ready to get their stuff and get out of the padded room. We hear a bunch of police sirens happening and police on the bullhorn, and then Cheech is like, hey, you gotta follow me, come on this way. And apparently there's a secret hatch in the wall, and they go through the secret tunnel, and then we see Noodles and the other officer being like, you guys thought you could sneak out of there on us, huh? You guys thought you're gonna get away, huh? And we think that it's Cheech and Chong in the back of the car. It's actually the girl that's running the mental hospital, and Howie, the other guy, the Pee Wee Herman's character, and he's like, yeah, you thought you're gonna get away, huh? And the lady's like, yeah, we run the hospital, I don't know what you're doing. And then in the back of this car, because apparently it's a station wagon now, I didn't notice that before, we see Stacy Keach's character in the very back, but now he's like almost 90% a lizard. And we just cut to Cheech and Chong. They're tanning, they're in little hammock bikinis for some reason, and there's a bunch of ladies in bikinis walking all around, and Cheech is like, hey Chong, come on, we gotta go to work. But Chong's not answering well, so one of the ladies hands Cheech a bucket of water, and Cheech pours it on Chong to wake him up. And then we see them in front of the mirrors putting some stuff on, and she's like, you stupid, if we didn't lose all our money, we wouldn't have to be doing this. And then we see an announcer announcing them out, and they're called the Sun Kings, Maui and Wowie, and they're male strippers walking down a little drag strip, I guess, in some club. Of course, they're on the strip dancing, and Chong apparently likes to really dance, because he then like butt bashes Cheech, and Cheech falls into the crowd, and the ladies are all just all over him, and Cheech is just reaching up being like, come on man, help me, please let me back up, man. And we see Chong finally helping Cheech back up on the stage. We see girls grabbing at the the underwear, and then the movie's over, and that's it, that's all. I gotta say, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was fun, I thought it was silly. I can understand why it's not up there with like Up in Smoke and Still Smoking. It's not to that caliber. It is good, and I like that it's got Stacy Keach in it, and I think it's got a decent cast. I wasn't expecting Pee Wee Herman, whatever his name is, I forget his name. I wasn't a big Pee Wee Herman fan. But yeah, I thought it was fun. Reading the description though on Google mentioned about like the ice cream and the dope turning people into lizard creatures. I wish that was a little bit more of a thing, because it seems like it was an idea they had and then they kind of just gave up on it partially, because you do see Stacy Keach slowly turning into a lizard. You see that one seagull or pigeon change into a lizard as well, but you don't see much else of it happening, or like it doesn't have much effect to the movie. So the ending seems a little sporadic and kind of thrown together, but I thought it was fun. And on the rotten scale of 10, I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10, because I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. I thought it was fun. Hopefully maybe next time I'll actually buy a good copy and find like hopefully there's a good Blu-ray copy or something out there somewhere for it, because the YouTube copy is not bad, but you can definitely tell it's like a VHS quality or recorded off a TV or something. So it's not great, but it's still definitely very watchable, so I would recommend checking it out. Which brings us to that point in the episode where we gotta pick what we're watching next week. Alright, so we're gonna watch another movie that we've never seen before, and I think it's gonna be my first Corey Haim movie. From 1992, we are gonna watch Oh, What a Night. It's supposed to be a comedy drama. Hopefully it's a good comedy. Hopefully it's not more on the drama side. I haven't watched the trailer at all, but I just saw it popped up on my list, so might as well just check it out, right? So it might be a good episode, might be a horrible episode, I don't know yet. so we'll have to wait and check it out next week and see. But as always, make sure to check out the outro band, trail-based horror band, Blood Opera. All their links are down below, but you can find them on YouTube, SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, and that main thing being the Spotify channel. Definitely go check them out on Spotify. Give their newest album a listen. Give their old music a listen as well, because spooky season's just around the corner, so they're the music that you want to be listening to. So definitely go check them out. And as always, check out all my links down below as well at Typhonstein. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, X, TikTok, pretty much anything and everything. Make sure to check out the YouTube channel as well. Like I said, once we get 1,000 subs on there, we're going to be giving away some free artwork. And as always, if you guys could, make sure to hit that share button. It means a lot, and it does help out a lot. It only takes a few seconds, so if you could share the podcast episodes, if you could share the YouTube channel, share various YouTube videos, or if you want to share anything that's on the art pages, on the Instagram page, or the Facebook page, it does mean a lot to me. It does help out a lot. So hopefully you guys will, help share the love a little bit, and we'll keep growing this community. Keep the podcast episodes coming. Keep the weekly game videos coming. I mean, we got a lot of content, and it's all for free. So just hit that share button. It means a lot. And I'm gonna stop rambling now because it's getting kind of late. I mean, I say that, but I'm probably not gonna go to sleep anytime soon because I'm feeling pretty good. So maybe we'll work on some artwork. So definitely keep an eye on the Instagram page, the X page, the Threads page, and the Facebook
page, and the YouTube community post, because that's where we post all the artwork. Boy, that's a lot of posting. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.
Whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood?